Today we are starting law of exponents, and so we're going to be looking at different ways to simplify exponents. So first, an exponent is a little number that's next to a letter or another letter. So if I have x to the power of 3, 3 is the exponent. Or I could have y to the power of 7, and 7 is the exponent. So we're going to look at ways where we can put together exponents if they're on the same letter or number. So we've got 3 different rules we're going to look at today, and then we'll look at 3 more rules next time. So the first rule we're going to look at is the product property. So for product, this is going to be thinking about multiplication or times. So we're going to do the rule at the end and start with some examples. So for this first one, the product property, here we have x to the power of 5 times x to the power of 7. So when we have x to the power of 5, that means there are 5 x's, just like this. And then if we have x to the power of 7, that means there are 7 x's. So for our answer, we want to know how many x's are all together. So if we count all of these x's, we would count 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 x's. So our answer would be x to the power of 12. Because there are 12 x's all together. If we look at example 2, here we've got g to the power of 2, so that means I've got 2 g's, and then g to the power of 4, which means I have 4 g's. So again, for our answer, we want all of these g's together. So if I count all of them, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 g's all together. So my answer would be g to the power of 6, because there are 6 total g's. And then for our last one, we've got d, and then there's no number here. Anytime there's no number, we can put a 1. So d to the power of 1 means there is 1d. And d to the power of 8 means there are 8 d's. So if we count them all together, all of these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 d's. So this answer would be d to the power of 9. So what we're doing is, if we didn't want to write all of these out, we're taking our 5 x's and we're adding it to the 7 x's. So we're thinking about our 5 x's plus our 7 x's. If we look at the g's, we're taking our 2 g's and we're adding it to our 4 g's, which would give us 6. So the rule for this one, anytime letters are being multiplied, so here x times x, we're going to add the exponents. So here we have x to the power of m times x to the power of n. We would add the exponents, m plus n. So 5 plus 7, 2 plus 4, 1 plus 8 gets us the new exponent. Our next rule is the power of a power. So power of a power. So that means there are going to be 2 exponents, 2 powers in the problem. So if we go down to our examples, here we've got x to the power of 2 to the power of 3. So just like here when we had x to the power of 5, it meant there were 5 x's. If we have x to the power of 2 to the power of 3, that means that there are 3 of these x to the power of 2's. So I can do x to the power of 2, x to the power of 2, x to the power of 2. So that's where that 3 comes in. There's 3 of the x to the power of 2. Then I can take my x to the power of 2, and that means in this group here, there are 2 x's. I can look at this x to the power of 2, and there are 2 more x's. And in this last one here, it would be 2 more. So again, our final answer, we want how many x's are all together. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x's. X to the power of 6. All right, let's look at number 2. Here we've got f to the power of 7 to the power of 4. So this second exponent tells us how many we have of the first. So that means I have f to the power of 7, f to the power of 7, f to the power of 7, f to the power of 7. I wrote 4 because that outside exponent is 4. So now I need to see how many f's there are all together. So here, f to the power of 7 means I have 7 f's. So there's 7. F to the power of 7 means there's 7 more. F to the power of 7 means there's another 7. And f to the power of 7 means there's another 7. So for our final answer, we want how many f's are all together. So here I've got 7, 14, 21, 28. F to the power of 28. It's a lot of f's. All right, and then our last one, we have c to the power of 5 to the power of 2. So again, that second exponent tells me how many I have inside the group. So I've got 2 of these c to the power of 5's. So I write it 2 times. Now, c to the power of 5 means I have 5 c's. And then I have another c to the power of 5, which means I have 5 more. In our final answer, I want how many all together. So here's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So our final answer is c to the power of 10. So you can always write out all of the letters. If you don't like writing out the letters, we can use the exponents. So here, when we have x to the power of 2 to the power of 3, what we can do is take 2 and multiply it by 3 to get us 6. We could also do that with all of these f's, because that's a lot. So I could take my first exponent of 7 and multiply it times the second exponent of 4. 7 times 4 gets me 28. And I can do it again on this last one, 5, that first exponent, times 2 to get the power of 10. So again, you can write out all the letters, or here, when you have power to the power, 2 exponents together, you can multiply them. So the rule here would be x to the power of m times n when you have those 2 exponents together. All right, and our last one is the power of a product. So this is when you have a group and then an exponent outside that group. So here we've got xy to the power of 3. So all we have to do is share this 3 with everything inside the group. So that would be x to the power of 3, y to the power of 3. On the second one, jk to the power of 5. Share the 5 with j, share the 5 with k, j to the power of 5, k to the power of 5. Everything inside gets the exponent. This last one, rs to the power of 8. We share the 8 with everything inside. R to the power of 8, s to the power of 8. Everything inside gets that exponent. So our rule here, we would share the m with both inside. So we would have x to the power of m, y to the power of m. So with these rules, we're going to look at some examples that put them all together. And these examples will be similar to your practice. So on the first one, we've got 5, 8, a to the power of 8 times 9, a to the power of 3. So what we want to do is put together things that are the same. So I'm going to take my whole numbers, 5 and 9, and I'm going to put those together. 5 times 9. Then I'm going to take my letter a's, a to the power of 8, a to the power of 3, and I'm going to put those together. And now I'm going to see what I get. So 5 times 9, that would get me, not 5, 45. And then a to the power of 8 would give me 8 a's. And a to the power of 3 would give me 3 a's. So for my final answer, I want how many all together? So that would be a to the 8, 9, 10, 11, because there are 11 a's in this group. So this 45, a to the power of 11, would be my final answer. And this is 11 because here I could take the exponents. 8 plus 3 equals 11. All right, on this other one, we've got a lot more exponents. So we have 5 times x to the power of 3 to the power of 2 times x to the power of 9 to the power of 3. So first, I need to take care of these exponents on the outside. So here, this 2, I need to share this 2 with everything inside. So this 2, actually we're going to do it a different way. So this 2 tells me I've got 2 of these groups. So I've got 5 times x to the power of 3, and then I have another 5 times x to the power of 3. I've got 2 of those groups. Then x to the power of 9, I have 3 of those. So I'm going to write x to the power of 9 3 times. So now the groups have no more exponents. I've taken that and written out how many there are. So now I can do this one just like we did the one before. So I can take my whole numbers. Here I've got 5, 5, and there are no whole numbers here. And I can do 5 times 5, which would get me 25. And then I can take all my x's, so x to the power of 3, x to the power of 3, x to the power of 9, x to the power of 9, x to the power of 9, and I can put all of those together. So now this is where you can write out all of these x's. I can write out x, 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 x. Let me do these in a different color. If you want to write out all of those, you can. Or I can go, okay, x to the power of 3 gives me 3 x's. Plus, I would have 3 more x's. Plus 9 x's. Plus 9. Plus another 9. So I can add up all of these numbers. So 3 plus 3 will give me 6. plus 9 is 15, plus 9 is 24, plus 9 is 33. So for my final answer here, I would have x to the power of 33. So the whole thing is 25x to the power of 33. If you have questions, please ask me or Miss B, and go ahead and try the practice.